So what is alchemy? Well, alchemy is often misunderstood and is seen to be solely the transmutation of lead into gold. And although this is actually possible and was indeed practiced by the alchemists, this is only an example of alchemy. But alchemy really is concerned with the mental alchemy of how we can change ourselves from the inertia, and the stagnant energy into the best, brightest version of ourselves. So it's really about realizing our full potential. You can really take the lead as an analogy for something which is kind of inert, into the gold, which is our shining vibrancy, raised to our highest vibration. So alchemy is something that is really was understood by the sages of old, the medieval alchemists, the wizards and the witches of Europe, and of course of all the traditions around the world. But this lineage that brings us into this video and this course on the Hermetic arts comes from Hermes. Hermeticism comes from Hermes, the god. Hermes is connected to a legendary person called Hermes Trismegistus, and Hermes Trismegistus was so called because he was born 3 times. He is thrice great, and he had many incarnations, if you like. And in ancient Greece, he is certainly known by this name. He's connected to the Roman god of Mercury, which is connected to the French word mercredi for Wednesday. And we see the staff of Hermes on the caduceus, which is a symbol for healing, and embodies, believe it or not, the Kundalini energy of the Ida and Pingala through the central staff, which is the Sushumna. So there is that ancient wisdom which is there in a lot of our symbols for healing on hospitals, and we have them here on our ambulances, for example. So that's kind of a little bit about Hermes. But really, when we go further back, we realize that Hermes Trismegistus is related to the ancient Egyptian, or what used to be called the land of Kemet. Kemet is where we get the word alchemy itself. It's from Egypt, from alchemy, from Kemet, and the more modern science and word chemistry. Okay, so Kemet, or ancient Egypt, you had this god, this incredible god called Thoth. That's how I call him, but you might know him as Thoth or Tuhuti, and he was the god of magic, and he was certainly the founder of the Hermetic art, which brings us all the way into the ancient texts such as the Corpus Hermeticum and the Kybalion itself, which was reinterpreted by the 3 initiates, as they like to be called, in more recent times, a few centuries ago. So that's really a little bit about alchemy and about Thoth. And Thoth really had this ibis head. He was like a therianthrope, which means he was kind of half human and half animal. And we'll come into that later into the course about why that's important. So alchemy really is something which is very, very important and isn't really practiced so much these days, but it is something which was picked up by Carl Jung, the famous psychologist who kind of broke off from Freud and went into a different direction, and he certainly has studied it a lot. But it's something which has always been understood by a lot of the more esoteric groups and society, fraternities and groups. So basically, like powerful people essentially often understand alchemy in order to affect themselves, to become the best version of themselves, and to actually affect the reality as well. So we are really dispensing knowledge, which was perhaps something which has been perhaps for the elite, but now we're living in the information age, and all of the information that has been previously been only for whatever reason being given to the few, or being accessible to the few, or let's say known about by the few, is now completely accessible and open to everyone. If you've got access to the internet, and obviously you have, otherwise you wouldn't be watching this video, then you've got access to the information that you need to empower yourself and to become the biggest, brightest version of yourself. And that's what alchemy is all about, and that's what we're going to get into with this course by learning the 7 Hermetic Laws. Thanks very much, and see you in the next video.